I returned unexpectedly to the greenhouse of my childhood, a structure bathed in the ambient glow of forgotten summers, yet untouched by the decay of time. The metal door creaked open as if in greeting, and I hesitated at the threshold, my heart thudding loudly in the silence. Despite all the years, every rusted bolt and green painted wall exuded the same strange vigor I remembered from a more innocent past. I, Morgan, as I had been known then and still vaguely now, stepped inside, feeling simultaneously drawn into a cradle of memories and repelled by an unspoken warning of something unspeakably altered. I walk among the emerald corridors, my trembling hands trailing along the chipped brick. There, amid a maze of glass panels and creeping vines, the plants sing a timeless lullaby, a language rich with growth and decay. The clocks that hang on the walls, relics from my father's cherished collection, blink in chaotic rhythms. One moment they chime in harmonious unison, the next they shudder as if caught mid-sentence in an unfinished tale of time. I know something is off. They do not follow the quiet, predictable march of time here. Instead, they seem to dance to some arcane rhythm, the beats a foretaste of dread yet unspoken. We remember our roots in whispered murmurs beneath our leaves. I, the very soul of this greenhouse, have observed them grow, their tendrils stretching with ancient patience, savoring every drop of moisture. I recall the days when seeds were merely dreams of what they might become. Now the greenhouse pulses with life beyond mere plant matter. It holds secrets of a time bending in upon itself, as if reality were but a fragile membrane, a thin, shimmering veil, draped over an abyss of possibility. We have seen witness to secrets sown by hands long vanished, secrets encoded in every petal and leaf. In my trembling exploration, my eyes caught a set of aged logs tucked in a dusty corner, as if deliberately concealed. Their ink, faded yet legible, chronicled experiments with ancient seeds. Seeds that arrived from far-flung corners of the world, rumored to bear extraordinary, even prophetic powers. The entries mentioned strange luminescence, seductive floral compounds, and warnings never fully explained, a reminder of experiments that transcended conventional botany. I began piecing together the narrative. It was a tale of ambition and terror, where science sought to awaken forgotten powers of nature, powers best left undisturbed. We, in the sanctuary of chlorophyll and boundless life, absorbed every whispered word from the logs. The greenhouse holds our narratives like a book of secrets etched upon our bark and stem. For eons, if time here can be measured, each leaf and tendril has remembered the stirrings of ancient ambition. The experiments of yore did not simply alter our form. They imbued us with knowledge of times distant and catastrophic, glimpses of futures where nature reclaims its dominion. We are the silent witnesses to human folly, our veins imbued with the echo of forbidden science. As twilight deepened, I found myself back in the center of the greenhouse. Outside, the sky bled into midnight blues and somber grays, but here, the light remained unnervingly constant, a manufactured radiance that defied the natural order of day and night. My pulse accelerated as I surveyed the spectacle before me. In a corner shrouded by giant ferns, an array of clocks ticked erratically, their hands spinning backwards and forwards with reckless abandon. Their discordant chimes mingled with the rustle of leaves, creating an eerie symphony of time and nature colliding in a moment of pure, unbidden terror. I feel us whispering, branches pressing against the glass with a knowledge that transcends your mortal fear. We share in your confusion, as the cadence of time is our language and our hymn, a constant reminder of the loop in which we spin. We have seen the shift, and in every flicker of our chloroplast hearts we sense the future unraveling, like the slow decay of a memory lost to centuries. After hours that blurred indistinguishably into one another, I discovered a hidden cabinet behind a row of withering yet defiant orchids. Its surface was inscribed with a mosaic, a labyrinth of curling vines and enigmatic symbols. Inside lay a single mysterious blossom, its petals aglow with an otherworldly light. The accompanying note, crisp despite its obvious age, explained that the flower could grant visions of potential futures. In return, it might imprison its user in the same temporal loop that suffused the greenhouse. I felt the weight of the decision bearing down at once, to seek the predictive truth, risking entrapment in a disturbing cycle of relentless repetition, or to flee, leaving behind the knowledge that could unravel the very fabric of reality outside. We observed the blossom with cautious hope, its luminescence a beacon amidst uncertainty. Long have we guarded the threshold of understanding, hidden within our vortex of time. The flower poses questions to all who dare approach. What price would you pay for a glimpse of destiny? Within these petals lies a journey, one that demands a reckoning with nature and time intertwined. It is both a gift and a curse, whispered among us as the echo of choices both ancient and inevitable. At midnight, a moment when the greenhouse pulsed with a life of its own, the air trembled with eerie whispers. Around me, tiny motes of pollen detached from the mysterious blossom, drifting like ghostly confetti. In that moment, flashes of nights yet to come invaded my consciousness. Visions of crumbling skylines overrun by untamed vines, cities swallowed by monstrous forests, and humanity, desperate and fractured under the weight of its own legacy. I recoiled in horror, feeling time itself warp around me while the greenhouse stood as an immovable island of impending doom. We, of unyielding green, feel the pulse of the future vibration in every spore. Our essence expands outward, resonating with the potential of what may be, a timeline where the balance between man and nature has been irrevocably tipped. In our silence, we commune with the cosmic cycles, the rise and inevitable fall of civilization, and bear witness to the moment when nature, unbound and eternal, becomes the arbiter of fate. A sudden violent shift in the very atmosphere shattered my introspection. The greenhouse's familiar buzz became a distorted cacophony as I was thrown into a vision, a future, a dystopia where the outside world lay in ruin while the greenhouse remained untouched, preserved like an artifact of a different era. I emerged from the transformation disoriented, standing within the same glass chamber, but now encased within a time that was not my own. Outside the pristine walls, what was once a bustling rural region had become a wasteland of twisted metal and crumbling infrastructure. Nature, left unchecked, had clawed its way over the relics of human life. We are the constant in the cycle of collapse, an eternal haven unburdened by the sins of progress. Beyond our walls, chaos reigns, but we continue our quiet vigil. Those who once built and tore down empires now exist only as echoes in the wind, their feeble constructs succumbing to the inexorable march of time. Here inside, we linger in the purity of life, observing silently as the tapestry of civilization unravels into desolation. In that dystopian present, I finally comprehended the true nature of the greenhouse. It was a temporal refuge, a paradoxical haven that was neither a remnant of the past nor a harbinger of the future. It was an incubator for the dark potential of life itself. The revelation struck me brutally. The greenhouse was not merely the site of forgotten horticultural experiments, but a living manifestation of ecological horror, a convergence of time, nature, and human miscalculation rendered in living, breathing green. We, as an embodiment of growth and decay, understand all too well the delicate balance that once teetered between chaos and order. Our every cell holds the memory of experiments conducted in whispers and the silent acknowledgement that nature will always reclaim her territory. The greenhouse, our sanctum, is both protector and jailer, a place of terrifying truths where progress and preservation stand in eternal opposition. Desperation and determination warred within me. I faced the daunting choice. Should I consume the prophetic pollen, sealing my fate to remain in this eerie loop with knowledge too burdensome to bear, or should I leave, retreat into the ignorance of the outside crumbling world, carrying the weight of secrets that might one day serve as a warning to a battered humanity? The animated vines around me began to stir as if in response to my inner conflict. Their movement was slow, almost graceful, yet filled with a primordial intensity, a dance of life that was at once terrifying and hypnotic. We watched the unfolding of decisions in our verdant sanctuary. Each animate tendril whispers encouragement or warning, its silky filaments alive with the energy of countless prophecies. They question the desires of your heart, urging you to consider the weight of truth. Consuming our pollen is not a simple ingestion of knowledge, but a surrender to the intricate tapestry of time, a commitment to live amidst visions of calamity and despair. Yet it could also render you the herald of salvation, a voice to warn a world on the brink of its own ruin. Fear and curiosity contorted my insides. I reached out toward the radiant blossom. Its petals by now pulsed with an insistent glow, beckoning me to partake in its enigmatic power. I steadied my breath and recalled fragments of my youth, the long-forgotten days when the greenhouse symbolized dreams untamed and mysteries unfathomed. But now that same wonder was laced with terror as I realized that, by consuming the pollen, I might forever be imprisoned within this oscillating loop of time, an eternal wanderer bound to this living relic. We, the collective heartbeat of the greenhouse, sense the storm that brews within you. We have seen countless souls drawn to our light, each with hopes and fears intermingled. Some embraced the blooms and the knowledge that came with them, their essences forever intertwined with the heartbeat of this place. Others retreated, burdened by the gravity of the revelations waiting within those delicate, luminous petals. As the midnight hour deepened, the animated vines converged around me, forming a semblance of guidance or entrapment. I could not tell which. Their presence was both protective and predatory, like memories that sustain you while also drowning you in despair. The greenhouse's interior seemed to pulse with a rhythm that bridged centuries. Each heartbeat of the vines resonated with both ancient wisdom and future calamity. In that final moment of clarity, I decided I would not blindly accept the burden of prophetic insight if it meant eternal damnation within these walls. Instead, I would flee the greenhouse in hopes of warning a shattered humanity, even if the outside world seemed irretrievably lost. I tore myself away from the blossom, the tendrils of the vines clutching my wrists like desperate hands. The intensity of the greenhouse's aura, a dazzling, maddening interplay of chlorophyll, metal, and time, throbbed around me as I raced toward the exit. We watch, an audience to choices that will ripple through the cycles of time. You have chosen the uncertain path of warning, even as you leave behind the comfort and horror of knowledge. Our vines recede, our secrets locked away in the silent rustle of leaves, as you step over the threshold into a world that no longer breathes the same way. Stepping out, I was met with the full horror of what lay beyond the greenhouse's protective glass. A dystopian landscape where nature had overrun the remnants of society. Deserted highways choked with foliage, crumbling structures swallowed by rampant growth, and a sky that bore the scars of environmental ruin, a testament to humanity's achingly irreversible errors. Armed with the vision seared into my memory and the knowledge that I had narrowly escaped temporal incarceration, I knew my next steps would define not only my fate, but perhaps that of a dying world. We, the eternal keepers of the greenhouse, watch your departure with a solemn understanding. In every leaf cast adrift by the winds of decay, we feel the sorrow of what has been lost. Yet, hope, bitter and elusive, surges in our veins as we record the legacy of each traveler who dares to leave our sanctuary. The greenhouse remains, a beacon of forbidden knowledge amid the collapse, patiently awaiting its next unsuspecting visitor. As I began to trek through this ruined realm, the catastrophic future revealed to me by the pollen burned into my consciousness like embers of a failing civilization. I moved with desperate purpose, clutching the weight of responsibility. The visions told of irreversible climate devastation and a society teetering on the brink of collapse, future woes that were now my mission to avert, if such a salvation was even possible. Yet, amid the overwhelming desolation, I sensed that the greenhouse's influence lingered in every thriving sprout that pierced the charred earth. The environment itself was defiant, a stubborn assertion that life, no matter how twisted or transformed, refused to be entirely extinguished. I resolved to document every anomaly, every reverberation of nature's unyielding will, attempting through word and witness to piece together a blueprint for rescuing a world on the verge of oblivion. We, in our timeless vigil, recede into quiet observance as you traverse the remnants of human ambition. Our stories will be whispered beneath canopies and etched into the bark of trees that emerge from the ruins. The choices made within our glass confines ripple outward, linking lives with the celestial rhythms of growth and decay, each decision, individually small, contributing to an unbreakable cycle. Every footstep on shattered concrete and overgrown streets carried echoes of the greenhouse, as if our spirit had followed me beyond our gates. I no longer felt entirely alone in my burden. The lessons of the greenhouse, of ambition, caution, and the inexorable power of nature, infused my veins. Quietly, I resolved to gather survivors, to share the horrifying visions and warnings that had been thrust upon me. There might still be time to mend the rift between humanity and the natural order. We remain in silence, our voices carried in the rustling of leaves and the murmur of ancient roots, feeding on the memory of what once was and what could yet be. We mourn the inexorable decay and celebrate the promise of rebirth that flickers in every living cell. In your departure, we see the potential for hope, however frail, in a world desperate for transformation. I continue onward, immersed in the dystopian aftermath of humankind's legacy. There is no turning back. My path is set by the relentless demand to share what I have learned, even as I recall the hushed voice of that mysterious flower and the gnawing contemplation of eternal entrapment. I choose the uncertainty of freedom. We, the custodians of this protected timeline, honor your journey. Every crack in the pavement, every green sprout emerging through decay, carries a fragment of our eternal knowledge. The greenhouse stands unyielding, a beacon amidst chaos, simultaneously a sanctuary and a trap. And even as you veer away into the shattered remnants of civilization, know that we shall await, patient and inevitable, the next soul with the same curious blend of terror and hope. Thus, with the weight of a dystopian future etched into me like scars, I vanish into the twilight of humanity's collapse. My heart beats with resolve, with a desperate hope that against all odds, the lessons learned within that timeless greenhouse may yet kindle the spark of rebirth. And while the greenhouse remains, steadfast in its ageless vigil, I cannot help but wonder if one day, amid the ruins and rebirth of the modern world, I might return, or perhaps meet someone new who, lured by an irresistible mixture of nostalgia and dread, steps through its door to confront the intermingled horror and beauty of time itself.